welcome to another episode of Into the Van. Once again, I'm Mike West, and I truly can't thank you enough for listening. I hope you've enjoyed these episodes. I've enjoyed sitting down with these awesome people and having a chat. And it's just really fun and interesting and engaging just from my end. So if you have anything to say, any thoughts, any opinions on what we've been talking about in these episodes, please drop them my way in the comments or on my page. My email address is on my Facebook page and things as well. So feel free to drop me an email and let me know what you think. My email is mike333west@outlook.com. So feel free to drop me a line and let me know what you think. I'm hoping to hear from you. I always want to know how this is received because I've said this about comics and things. There's so much that you do behind the scenes. You don't know how it's going to be received until it's finally out there as a finished product. And as a musician, the feedback you can get is pretty much instantaneous. If you write a song and in a non-pandemic world go out and play that song, you'll pretty much get a response straight away. While with podcasts and comics and other things that take a bit longer to produce, and then you don't see the audience when they receive it, so you don't really know how it goes down. But please let me know what you think. I've been having a blast making these, and I hope you've been enjoying listening to them and take something away from it. This is a really interesting talk with Tania from the Hen House Presents. They're a promotion, I wouldn't say company, they're promoters in Manchester. They specialize in traditional roots, country music. And it's Tania and Dawn who are amazing people, and they're really passionate and they truly give a shit, which is why when they started the Hen House Presents, I jumped on it straight away to not just get a gig, but I know how important these promoters are, especially in areas like Manchester and the Northwest where you're not going to necessarily get those type of promoters. So if someone who genuinely cares about this type of music pops up and starts putting on shows, you should pay attention. So I sit down with Tania. I wanted to get Tania and Dawn, but obviously with the pandemic we can only do our interviews and podcasts through Zoom at the moment. So it was just me and Tania, but I'm definitely going to get her and Dawn on down the line. And this, if you're looking at starting your own promoters, like your own promotion thing, if you're in a town or an area where the type of music you want to listen to and want to see isn't there, you can start it yourself. If you know the bands or if you know a contact for a band, you can start your own shows. And it's not as hard or as intimidating as people think. And we get into that with Tania today to just see how they got started with the Hen House Presents, why they started with the Hen House Presents, and just what bands and promoters can do to help lift the scene up and support each other. Because if you aren't supporting each other, then the scene will die. No matter how much you want it to succeed, if you aren't helping each other and making a sense of community, it's going to die on its arse pretty quickly. So this is me and Tania from the Hen House Presents. But before that, let's get through the sponsors, which, as you all know, we are 5 episodes in. So today's episode is brought to you by me, Mike West. The Next Life is still available for pre-order. We're going to be announcing a release date pretty soon, I hope. This will be coming out in May. So keep your ears to the ground. If you want to get a copy, you can pre-order a copy. You'll get the title track, The Next Life, as an instant download. I'm going to drop a teaser for you now.
My eyes been twitching for 2 weeks. I really need to get some sleep. No rest for me. My body's aching for far too long. I still don't know where I went wrong. No rest for me. Cause my mind won't let me sleep. It brings me with a call when me I keep. Oh, my mind won't let me sleep. It brings me with a call when me I
And I hope you enjoyed that. If you head over to mike333west.com, you can pre-order The Next Life. We've got white gatefold vinyl, CDs, digital copies, different bundles with t-shirts and tote bags in. So there's something for anyone on any budget, and I really hope you'll pick up a copy because this is something I truly love, and I truly believe in this record, and I hope you'll dig it. But without further ado, these type of people don't get the coverage I think they deserve in podcasts and promotions, and when people talk about interviews, it's the promoters and the people who book the gigs and work with the venues that are completely invaluable. Musicians can put shows on themselves, but if you have a promoter whose only focus it is to put on a good show, that's what they're going to do. That's what they're passionate about. And that's what Tania and Dawn do for Hen House Presents. So this is an all-encompassing chat about the promoting side of music and just working with bands, how not to do it, how to do it, who you should network with, how you can network. And this is a really interesting talk for people who truly give a shit about music. So without further ado, this is Into the Van with Mike West and Tania from the Hen House Presents. Welcome to Into the Van with me, Mike West.
Go! But I'll hit record now, so it's going. But so the Hen House Presents, what was the origin story behind that, and how did you guys get started for Hen House?
Right, okay. How did we get started? Probably about 12 months ago, just over 12 months ago. So if we rewind a little bit before that, we've always been to gigs. We go to gigs, so it's me and my friend Dawn. We travel all over. We'd go to Leeds, we'd go to Liverpool, we'd go over to Sheffield, and we were just kind of, I'm not going to say sick of traveling, because we weren't. We quite, we like it. We like having the road trips, and we have a really good giggle. But we just kind of thought, how hard can it be to just put gigs on, I suppose. And I'm quite an avid listener of Otis Gibbs' podcast. I don't know if you know Otis Gibbs. So he does a podcast called Thanks for Giving a Damn. And part of his opening gambit, if you like, because the dude's getting on a little bit, and he started his podcast a few years ago, but he was still, of more mature years, so not really down with the kids with regards to the tech and stuff like that. And one of his things is, to paraphrase, I haven't a clue what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And we were kind of like, okay, so we can either hang around and wait until we know what we're doing, or we can just do it.
Yeah.
So we just did, kind of like in the interim period. We had, so in my day job, if you like, our day businesses, we own and run a gym. And within that gym, the gym's it's in an old mill, and we have we've got a lot of space. And we've got a studio, which I'm in a band as well with Dawn, and we use that to rehearse in. And we've had what we've called little gym jams there, where we've had like little fundraisers and got friends involved. And we were kind of like, well, we've already done it. So the next step is just getting people to come to play, and to come and see whoever's playing. I suppose that's the next step. And I'd been watching on my radar, kind of like my social media radar, Square Roots Promotions down in Portsmouth. And I've kind of went, online's great, you Google a little bit, and I went and found out a little bit more about Square Roots and how it started. And then Ken's name came up, and I read a couple of interviews with him, and how it got started. And I emailed him, or I messaged him via Messenger, Ken Brown, and I was kind of like, I think I'm where you're at when you first started. Can you give me any advice?
Yeah.
And he said, send me your email. He sent me his email. I sent him my email. He said, I'm just busy at the moment. I will get back to you on it. And he did. And he wrote me this Bible
Really?
of an email. Honestly, it was just stupendous. And he's like, these are the things that I would advise you to do. And they were things that, these are like, this is a suggestion. This is a strong advice. And I would call this mandatory.
Yeah.
Things like ticket splits, about flyering, about how to use social media, how not to rely on social media, and how going out and handing out flyers, going meeting people, how that really is unavoidable and kind of paramount. So we did do a little bit of research. I've also organised relatively big sporting events, so kind of got those event organising skills and what to do, blah blah blah. So yeah, we just kind of got all those different little bits of colours of plasticine, if you like, and mashed them up into one ball and went, right, okay, let's speak to some bands, because we've been going to gigs. I knew we kind of knew what we wanted to put on, and one of the pieces of advice that Ken gave us was only put on things that you love.
Yeah, 100%.
Whatever it is, just put those things on, because you can be passionate about those. And you can sell them. So that was the thing, and that isn't to say that if we kind of go, do you know what, you're not really right for us, that you're not good. You're just not our thing, or not my thing, or not Dawn's thing. So as we were kind of popping around to gigs, I then got someone to do a logo. We set up the Facebook page. I think you were probably one of the first to message over and get in touch. So I think we knew we needed a certain look. And then another guy got in touch, basically, and said, I've got this lady who's coming over from Canada. I need a venue. Have you got a venue? I'm like, yeah, of course we have. We didn't. We didn't have a venue.
No.
We had a back room in a gym. But within a week, we'd built a stage, we'd done the marketing, and we just basically said, right, okay, this is a gym jam. He had something, Rob Allen, I think he's called. He's got something to do with like a house concert.
Yeah, it's Moose. The Moose Mobile.
Moose Mobile, but that's the chap then. So he kind of got a few people together. We invited a couple of people down. We played. We'd seen Amelia play at Buckles and Boots. She was actually our takeaway from Buckles and Boots. So we were talking to her there. So we chatted to her. So we're doing this thing. Would you like to come over? And people just kind of jumped on board and got on. So we put on this evening. And it was a throw in the hat kind of thing. So I think everyone did like 3 songs. And then Orit Shimoni, she did a beautiful set right at the end. Friend of ours did sound. So it all came together in, look, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. Because we will learn along the way. We'll learn so much along the way. Whereas if we kind of sit back and think, oh, well, we're going to have to work out how to do this and find out how to do that, and you're just never going to do it. And then I was thinking, well, what is the worst that can happen?
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people think that they need to be perfect straight away, and that's
Absolutely.
never going to happen. And you need to just dive in and see what's going to happen first. And I think especially with promoters, the worst thing is people won't show up, but people will still show up, because if it's your first gig, you've got that bit of leniency and leeway with your friends and family. So that'll be the first show, and then hopefully you can build on that. But what I liked about Hen House was, one, it was local, which I think you set the page up, and then because I'd been messaging you, I invited a load of people to, because obviously this is something I believe in and we need it up north. And people thought I was involved with it and trying to get gigs through me.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, this isn't anything to do with me. I just want to support it. And then it was seeing how you can grow from that, because what you touched on, I think promoters really need to push their own identity and style on it. And that is why like Square Roots does so well, because they have that trust in them. And that is what you guys are building up. I think outside, it's genre specific, and you trust the people running it. So whoever you book on, people have that trust that you're going to put a good night on.
Yeah, and I think that is what we that is kind of what we're setting out to do, and that would have been our plan this year, to build on what we built last year. But you know what, we'll you know, when all this is over or whatever, we'll see, you know, we'll see how the land lies, and we'll just pick it up from there, because nobody's in front or behind. So
this
I'm not
is
particularly,
just completely leveled the playing field, really.
yeah,
for everyone.
I'm not particularly worried about that. I do think that things will probably have to change, and we're not even going to say, you know, we're super experienced, and we're you know, we're musos, and we can talk about this. We just like music. We just like live music.
Yeah, being a fan
so
first is always more important to me than someone who like talks out their arse.
Yeah, we can bet. We basically, we put on the shows that we want to go to, putting on our own little private gigs. If you want to come along, that's great. You know, we do, and we always say to whoever we've put on, I can't guarantee you anything.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you nothing. I'm sorry, but I can't. I won't make those empty promises. The only thing that we will guarantee is that we will hustle our asses off.
Yeah.
So we will and do stand outside gigs in winter, flyer in, chatting to people, talking to people, going to people's gigs. I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's kind of how we knew who you were. I think who were you playing with?
I was with the Goat Roper Rodeo and Brandon Ridley.
That's right. So we'd gone to see the Goat Ropers. We'd seen those a few times. That's where we saw you. It's where we met Brandon. And I'm pretty sure that might be where we actually said to the Goat Ropers, pretty much we're doing this. Will you come and play for us? And they said yes.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, of course we will. Again, the guys, you know, they're great. They're super enthusiastic. And we said the same thing. We can't promise you anything. So they were the first ones to kind of get on board. Then we spoke to, I think Jody and, no, I think it was Andy actually from Fargo. They got in touch pretty much straight away. They're really good at the hustle as well as you are. And they were, you know, this is what we do. We're trying to get into Manchester. And what we found was there seemed to be loads of people to kind of go, we're looking for somewhere in Manchester to play. And we can't find anywhere. So it would either be, I don't know what the options are for you guys coming in, but I think it was kind of either Manchester City Centre, like your Castle Hotel, your Night and Day Cafe, and all those ones where it's great venues, but the layout, as in financial layout for an independent artist, is quite substantial.
Yeah,
for me, before you've even sold any tickets.
For me, Manchester's always been a great live music city, and it's the same with Liverpool, but Liverpool to a lesser extent there's very few small grassroots promoters that are genre specific. So Hey Manchester is probably the most rootsy Americana.
Which one's that? Sorry,
Hey Manchester. He does shows up in the Deaf Institute. Normally is his main go-to. I did a show with him for a Left Lane Cruiser, but his kind of flows between the Americana side of things and then into the rockier and indie side of stuff. But again, he's not specifically grassroots or like roots and traditional music. And again, people pour into the city centres without taking account of the fringe, which I think is why, because I'm on the Wirral. The Wirral gets left behind a bit. So I'm trying to put gigs here. So I think the demand's there. And if people are willing to travel 40 minutes to Manchester, they'll be willing to travel 30 or 50 minutes either side to go to another show.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's kind of what we realized was people will travel because we were those people, or we are those people. In the Goat Ropers, I think when the Whiskey Shivers came over, I think we saw them three times in like 8 days. Wherever we love them. They're great. They come over, you know, we've got to know them. And it's like, okay, so they're 40 minutes away, they're an hour away. Good, let's just go and see them. But when we were going, and also when we were going to the gigs, seeing different people, kind of genre specific, we were also seeing similar faces or familiar faces within the crowd. So you're kind of like, right, okay, so these people are traveling as well. I know people here over in Manchester who, you know, are really into the same kind of music that we are, and they were also traveling. So we were kind of thinking, well, just have something on the doorstep. So we looked around for a couple of little just little cafe kind of venues. We came across the Malaga Drift. They had a great little space downstairs. That's where you played with Sam, which, in my opinion, was one of the best nights that we had.
Yeah.
I
Sam,
just thought it was the pairing of you. I thought was perfect, because I knew we had you in the wings, and that's what we want to do as well. We want to make sure that the pairings are good.
Yeah.
So if there's a support act, that it is, and I like to, it's an opening act. It's not a support act. It's an opening act. That it's a good match. So for me, both of you, I don't always want two guys on a guitar that are doing the same thing, because it's like, say no one really wants to hear that. I would say people probably do, but that's not what we want to do.
You want to put on a varied night.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. And you were, it was literally right, the outlaw and the old timer. There couldn't have been a bigger contrast, but better complement to each other. And I just thought it was, I thought that was a really good night. I thought it was a really special night. I thought both of you were super professional. It wasn't a big selling night by any stretch of the imagination. But that's kind of not how we have measured our success, if you like, has not been on ticket sales. Now, while we appreciate that, you know, we want sellouts because everyone gets a really nice fair whack of the pie, we've always managed to pay people, and even if it is just covering their expenses, if ticket sales haven't been great for whatever reason, you guys are independent artists, and we're asking people to take a pun on you and buying a ticket. Eventually, we know that that's going to pay off.
Yeah, I think it's, from my point of view, for the things like this, is always, you know, if I see a promoter or I'm working with a venue that I know isn't really in it, or you see that like they're putting tons of different things on, they're not committing to one genre, or they're not committing to one style, you're kind of like, okay, they're just trying to get people in, and they aren't like fans of it, they just want to fill the book. And you go, okay, I'll do that gig, I'll see what it's like, maybe the crowd's good, a few people will come in, and they're kind of the ones where like you're more adamant on a fee or making sure that it's worth your while. But gigs like what you guys put on, it's always worth, because I know the potential for Hen House and what you guys are doing is limitless. So I know that, like, for me to be on like the ground floor of it and just support it in any way I can, get people to like your page, share your posts. I took some flyers from you for the Childers gig and passed them around. Those type of gigs and those type of relationships are more important to me than, you know, getting my expenses covered or getting any amount of money, because that night, Sam Mundy's a fucking phenomenal artist.
Isn't it just?
Yeah,
I think we were wrong. I mean, I knew he was good, and then he did what he did, and you just thought, when you say someone had them in the palm of your hands, he literally had us all spellbound.
Yeah. How he's not a bigger name right now, but I know it's the same thing with you guys. He's gonna, once he gets the recognition he half deserves, because he deserves so much more, because I genuinely am a fan of him from that night. I was listening to him yesterday because he put out that Good Night Irene cover. And listening to his stuff on Spotify. He's fucking brilliant. And that night, so I got to discover Sam. I got to hang out with you and Dawn. We were just like on the playlist that was playing over at the venue. We were just talking shop, talking songs. To me, that is a more important night than anything getting paid or doing like something that would mean I'd get compensated at some point. Because for me, that was like, it enriched my soul more than it, like, you know, a couple of quid would have. That to me was a more important night than a few of the gigs I've played.
We thought, and I think for us as well, and I think maybe, and again, this is another, just a little heads up from Ken, that was that you will get people asking to play, and if they're local, you kind of like, well, have you been to any of our events? So from that point of view, I think that artists need to hustle, and they need to, it's the price of a ticket. And this piece of advice came from two different angles. One was from an artist, and the other was from a promoter. and it is the price of a ticket. The
Mm.
price of a ticket can open so much for everybody. You
Mm.
know, it's well, are you as an artist supporting your local music
Yeah.
scene, or are you just going to your gigs and expecting everyone to come to yours? Is there kind of like
Yeah,
a little
a
bit
give
of,
and take.
there absolutely has to be a give and take, and that now is kind of one of my go-tos. You know, you can't expect somebody who lives, I don't know, in Bristol to have been to one of the gigs, but you kind of, if they are local, it's like well, have you been to any of our
Yeah.
events? No. Well, hopefully I'll see you at one then
Yeah.
someday.
Yeah.
And
It's-
we do put on little we do the in the coop stuff, which is kind of like I suppose it's kind of like a showcase night where we ask people to come down, ask them to perform.
Mm.
Don't promise them the world. We feed them, we water them really, really well. We have we stock up a fridge. We put a pan of something on and just say, will you come down? We'll collect in the hat during the gig, and everyone gets a cut of it. Everyone gets a split of it.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, great. And they've come down and gone, this night is amazing. It's just in a back hall of an old mill.
Mm.
We set up a PA, we make it, and we just make sure I put on a night I want to go to.
Yeah.
That to me is the key. I want to put on nights that I want to go to, where I go, damn, that's really good.
Yeah.
So whether it be in somebody else's venue, we also use one called the Veterans Garage. I don't think you've been there yet.
I've not
have
been
you?
there, no, but I've seen you guys.
It's a great place. So the Veterans Garage is at Barton Airfield. Again, it's out of the way. Are people going to go? Are they not going to go? But we know that people do go to that location, if you like, for other stuff, like they do bike meets, they do all kinds of different stuff. So we got to know. In fact, my husband went to school with one of the guys who set it up. So the Veterans Garage is a charity. They are raising funds to rebuild a building, to turn it into a garage, turn it into a bike mechanic garage, so they can retrain veterans to have these kind of skills. Open a garage up, and it will be a working garage. In the meantime, they provide counselling for PTSD. They do all different kinds of meetings there. They do fundraising. They're involved in all different kinds of things. So it's stunning, and everything that they've done, it's voluntary run, and they've basically, out of this old prefab containery kind of building, they've just made this beautiful cafe bar. It's stunning. It's absolutely, and it's made out of like pallet wood and stuff like that, but they've done it all themselves. And actually, just before, literally just before lockdown, the week before lockdown, we've put on a few gigs there. We use their venue, if you like, their space to put on the gigs. We provide everything, and we say to them, look, you guys make your money over the back, because that's your wet sales, if you like. That's where them, and we'll handle everything else. They're like, yeah, that's cool. That's a great split. And they're like, we love what you do. We love how you're using our space. We're going to build you a stage.
Oh, amazing.
So they literally, just before the lockdown, they built us a stage. So it's these kind of little, again, it's keeping it in the community, it's keeping it local, and it's people buying into other people's ideas and building on them. And it is just, so when we're there, we make sure that we're at the door to meet people, and we go round and we chat to people and try to build that crowd. And we had was it November or October? So we had our first sellout gig with the Track Dogs.
Amazing.
Which was, well, it was, that was stunning. The guys came over from Madrid. They were doing a little bit of a tour. So we went, I think we had our first gig in August, and then we had our first sellout in October, I think it was. So that's quite a short period of time, but we have put a lot of legwork in, and we, you saw us, you've seen us at gigs, people have seen us outside other gigs, but what we do is if we are, and I do, I'll go and shamelessly flyer any gig, but I will buy a ticket to that gig.
Yeah,
I buy a ticket
definitely.
to that gig. I go to the gig, have a great time, have a chat with it. Then just before the end, I go and I stand outside and I flyer and pay. I'm not going to say I'm paying my dues. It's the price of a ticket.
Yeah, and
You know,
especially
and
like at this level when it's like the price of a ticket, we're not talking about Ramstein being £100 tickets.
no,
If
no,
you'll
no.
get change of a £10 note through these gigs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And generally the places where you go in the beer's pretty cheap as well.
Yeah.
And I just think I'm a true believer in that people buy people.
Yeah, 100%.
People buy into that. And if they see that you are, for want of the word, passionate about something, I think they give you leeway to make mistakes, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And sometimes, that is possibly part of the charm as
Yeah.
well, in that when they go in and they're going, oh, this isn't what we thought it was going to be. I think we like the idea of it being almost like a house concert.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do. I think one of the things I can kind of complain about now is because I go to so many gigs, the big ones that are from the academy up, they're almost sterile. You know what the
Yeah.
set list is going to be. You even know, like, I'm a huge Metallica fan, and I know what songs they're going to play by when they change guitar. So I know by the what guitar they're going to play is like, oh, it's going to be one of these songs. And it's this thing where you know what they're going to say, you know what they're going to do. And you're going to get your money's worth to a point, but you're not going to get that spontaneity of a live show that a live show is meant to have. And it's these grassroots, smaller shows where the PA might not work, or the sound desk has only been figured out 10 minutes before doors.
Yeah.
And it's
Yes.
the artist is still running in. And those are the gigs that people will talk about more. Because you can say, I saw Metallica, they played Enter Sandman, it was the best thing ever. Or you can say, well, I saw this brand new band who hustled, struggled their way through, came all the way from Sheffield or wherever, like played their hearts out. The PA blow up halfway through it, and then we got to hang out with them and have a drink at the end. And those are the gigs that are gonna stick out in people's minds more in this day and age. And as the sterilization of these gigs continue, these grassroots ones are what people are gonna need.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. And I also think that they have a different feel. I think if you look at, is it the So Far Sounds movement? Again, people want to go and listen, because that was another thing that I was really sick of doing. I was sick of paying for a ticket and listening to somebody talking about Susan in the office and and it infuriates me.
Yeah, that's the hill I die on at gigs now. Like, I've told so many people to shut the fuck up on and off stage.
Oh, I mean, I get it. I get it. If I'm walking into a pub, and there's a band playing, I think there's a certain element. I've not gotten there to listen to the band. I've gone there to go have a pub, and that band is part of that night.
Yeah, they're on the agreement.
I think if you are in that situation as a band, as an artist, you can't expect. You're incidental.
They're not there for you. Yeah.
You're incidental. Your job is to keep those people there to put money over that bar.
Mm-hmm.
That's your job. Okay. If, however, I've gone somewhere and I'm stood next to someone who's paid for a ticket, just like I've paid for a ticket, and they then talk, and it just makes me so mad. It's like, I'm here to listen to. And that doesn't mean that you have to sit and be quiet. Bands are rockers, and you want to get up and you want to dance and you want to do all that. That's fine. That's absolutely great. That's exactly how it should be. But in those little quieter moments, I don't want to fucking hear you talking. No. I really don't. So that's why the strap line at the Hen House is, we reserve the right to shush. Yeah. Because if I can hear you talking, so can the rest of the room.
Yeah, and that's really important. That's why, like, this year I've stopped. I won't do any pub gigs, which sound like it can be sounding a bit arsey, but it's just, I know that that's not the audience. They don't care. They're not going to take anything away from it. They are there to get drunk, and it's just the job to entertain. And basically, I'm doing the same thing a Spotify playlist could do, but the Spotify playlist doesn't.
And I think if you go in there as an artist, I think that is your choice. Like you said, you have chosen not to do that. I think if people do, and that's great. Again, talking to the Track Dogs, and they were saying, in Spain, they don't. It's really loud. You know, people will literally talk over them. But they also appreciate that is the band that are on are an integral part of their evening, but they don't need their full focus. So it was really interesting to come from them.
Yeah,
because it was cultural. How it didn't really bother them that much.
That's
People were
interesting.
talking through it. I thought it was really interesting. It was just a completely, you know, different perspective. And I think that we do possibly run the risk at the Hen House of making it a little too sterile. And again, we don't. That's not what we want. If you want to get up and have a bob, get up and have a dance. But everyone's being very, very British at the moment.
Yeah, well, I think that's where like the band will need to come in and like set the kind of parameters and bring people into chat and like engage with it, because that's the important thing. Because like I don't do those pub gigs anymore, because if you want it to be background music, just get a background music playlist on. That's not what I'm there for. And then it's just knowing what gigs which and being able to adjust to that. Because I've played gigs and people have been talking and it's like, yeah, they're talking about the set, they're talking about this. I'll talk to them on stage with it and engage with them. And then there's gigs, like I did a show with Jesse Dayton a few years back.
All right, yeah.
And there was only maybe 20 people in the crowd, and this couple who was sat behind my girlfriend would not shut the fuck up for the entire gig. But they talked all the way through me. I was the opening act. So they talked through me and I was like, I'm the support act. I can't really make much of a big deal about it. They're probably here to see Jesse, understandably so. They've obviously paid the ticket. I won't say anything. So I did my set. They talked the entire way through it, like audibly being able to hear them. And then I got off stage and they carried on talking. Jesse Dayton came on, and because it was a small venue, they were meant to be electric, but they switched to acoustic, so it was even like more quiet. It was still an amazing rip-roaring set, but it wasn't electrified, so they didn't drown anyone else. So you could still hear them talk. And then the girl went to the bathroom, and I just turned around. We were all sat down. And I was like, excuse me, are you planning on talking through this entire thing? And he went, well, we're on a date, so yeah. I was like, well, can you fucking not? Why are you trying to get to know each other in the middle of a fucking gig? And then I obviously said that. I was like, well, can you just try and be quiet because you're the only people in this venue talking? And then I turned back around. The girl came back from the toilet and I could feel them burning into the back of my head. Then 2 songs and they got up and left. And it was like, knowing the time and place for it is so important as like an audience member. And, you know, people, especially British people, when it's one of those quiet rooms, they're going to be even quieter and you can hear a pin drop. But if that's what it calls for, that's kind of what it calls for. And then it's like, if Fargo Railroad come in, that's not going to be a pin drop in quiet audience.
But no, it's not. But then they can also have those pin drop moments. I mean, they do a couple of absolute stunners. I mean, those guys, you know, we've become really good friends with. They actually played at my birthday, and they were. It was great because I managed to, you know, get them over as a full band, which we really want to. I think that's the thing that we're missing a couple of things at the Hen House. So, first of all, I would love my own venue. I just love it. That would be amazing. So that would be. So if anyone's out there listening and they've got something, you know, I'm up for a sugar daddy. That's fine. He'd have to be about 90 to be fair. So, yeah, I'm good. That's that one. Yeah, Dawn will set one for the team. But yeah, it would be great if we could have our own venue. And then, but also we kind of need somewhere where we can have a bigger band set up, you know, kind of like your Fargos. And at the moment, we just can't cater for that, I don't think. So kind of looking forward, it would just be nice to be open.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Somewhere, but yeah, that would be nice. But you know, I always think ahead a little bit. I always have a little idea. So I think someone described us once as, you know, those people where you meet and you meet them and they say, oh, you know, we'll have to do such and such a thing. And that thing never happens. We're kind of completely the opposite. We say we're going to do something, we do it. And I've always kind of been like that. So if we do something, we immerse ourselves totally in it, and then just look in and literally see what happens. You know, just let the ball start rolling. And it's constant. You know, you have to be on social media. and just making good contacts with people. And we've made some great contacts. And I think the fact that I think when we went to go and see Jodie and Andy, that was over in Liverpool as well, same venue.
Yeah.
And they were the support act, and they were really sweet, and they were like, we'll get you, you can go on the guest list. I was like, dude, we'll buy tickets. It's fine, we'll buy tickets. Because I always think as well, one of the rules that we had when we set up the Hen House is everybody pays.
Yeah.
Everybody pays. Paul, if my husband's not doing the door, then he buys it. He pays for his ticket. Dawn's husband pays for his ticket. So everybody who walks over that are fresher, because otherwise it's, where do you draw the line? The venues that we're playing are quite small. So if, I've got an extended friendship of 5 people that get in for nothing, someone else, and then the band kind of bring 5 people. Well, guys, you're playing for nothing.
Yeah.
All my friends do. Usually one of the guys comes down and he comes in, buys a ticket, and I'll go, I'll get you a pizza, you're going to do the sound for me. He's like, yeah, we'll do that. But and everyone, I think, just being that kind of, people are kind of getting it, that we're trying to do something, and that we don't maybe have the skills. We're not as slick as other people are, but I think we're personable. I think, I really
passion
do think that.
And like personality should, like, to me, always trumps like a slick professional feel, because you don't want to go in and feel like you're just another ticket sale and another number. You want to feel like your ticket price makes a difference, and it definitely does with your type of shows. Like when you put it into a Hen House gig, it goes to the Hen House and the artists. I'm making this show possible. Well, like, you kind of feel like sometimes you give someone some money for a ticket and you're like, well, where's that actually gone? And then you find out the band's not been paid as well, and you're like, well, where has that actually fucking gone?
Yeah, I think there's a little. I think it's going to be a tough one, really, when all this is over. And I think both artists, venues, and promoters are going to have to just rejiggle their thoughts and their priorities a little bit, because it's been pretty shitty for everybody. Your venues will close, pubs will close, clubs will close. That will all go. Or when they do go back, they're going to be going back on a back foot, in that they will want to get people in, but a lot of them are going to be heavily in debt. Just through the fact of wanting to stay open. So are they going to be able to pay, just say, you come, because that's the ideal thing, isn't it, for an artist, kind of go, do you know what, we're going to put on a night and I'm going to give you X hundreds of pounds, you come play, there's your money, off you go. It's perfect from an artist's point of view. You're like, boom, thank you very much, I'll have a bit of that. But there's then really no incentive, if you like, for the artist to promote. No, there isn't. There's none whatsoever. So it's having a look at both sides of that coin. And I don't know what the answer is, but I think there's going to have to be a little bit of give and take from artists and also from venues. Because if artists want these venues and events to continue, they're going to have to give a little, I think, and that's really tough. I understand that is a massive ask, because you're like, oh God, we got to play for nothing again, and it's going backwards. This is unprecedented.
Yeah, exactly. If people are
the amount of free material that is now going out online is stupendous, and that is what. Because yes, it does. It keeps you. But people will be building a fan base. Hopefully, that fan base then wants to see them live. From a venue's point of view, it's the wet sales. So bring people in. People buy beer. They make the money over the bar. That's the kind of the crux of it. Then the artist job, like we say, is to keep the people there. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if, I personally think a lot, this might be a little bit controversial. I think artists will be stupid if they don't go in and say to local venues that they know, kind of like you, look further down the line and go, do you know what, mate? I'm going to come in and play for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to come in. I'm going to come in. I'm going to play for you. Give me a couple of beers, and pay it forward.
Yeah.
And just do that, because what that will do, that will get people in, it will get people out, and it will get the economy moving again. I'll turn around to them and say, we're going to do that. Do a pass the hat. In America, the guys play for tips.
Yeah.
And they play for tips really well. This is a thing that we're not.
The European and American dynamic for that, because I know if someone in the UK says a hat deal, I'm kind of like, cool, I'm going to make £3. But for
I think that depends how you do it.
Well, for the different venues and things, but for a hat deal, from my experience, it's been that. But then when I've gone to Europe and done a hat deal and like a donation deal, I've never made less than €100, and I think it's the culture.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing.
It's a cultural thing, but then is it then not up to us? That was really arrogant. People, kind of at grassroots, to kind of go, do you know what, guys? You can go out, because every time we've done it, we've probably won some of the best-selling nights that we've done.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on who's making the ask as well. Because I know myself, I'm a bit more like reserved about it. You
can't just leave a hat on the stage.
No,
you need someone front to go round, and I think once people get that, then they get it. It's kind of like, you come in, it's your own night. We do, so when we do the In the Coop stuff, we haven't got a bar, we've not got a license. To be fair, it's like we put on food, we have a few soft drinks, and we say to people, yeah, just come, just bring your own beer. If you want to bring your own snacks, you can do that. So they've in effect, they've had a really cheap night. So their tendency to turn around and go, well, do you know what? If I'd have gone out, it would have cost me X amount. There's 20 quid.
Yeah.
And people are literally that generous.
Yeah.
You know, they'll go around, and we put on really good acts. We put on really good artists. But that also means that it gives us a platform almost to test drive people and go, are you a fit for us or aren't you? I know you're local and you've come. You're local and you've kind of gone, yeah, damn, I'm buying into you guys. They've kind of shown us that tiny little bit of give.
Yeah.
A little bit of, I'm willing to take a pun on you. That doesn't mean to say that they're necessarily we're going to watch them and go, yeah, no, I don't think that's right. Or they're going to go, oh my God, you're stupendous. But further down the line for us, if we do get, it's not if we do, when we do get bigger names that we know are going to be ticket draws, I'm going to kind of go, do you know what? You were really good. You're a great person. Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to put you in front of a different audience.
Yeah.
And my tendency then to go to them for a support act is far greater than someone who's just sent me an email.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a hard one.
That's just the way it's going to work. That's you know, everyone has to do that. And I so understand from an artist's point of view that, you know, it almost feels like you're doing a lot for nothing, but sometimes that's the hustle that you've got.
It's just, there's part of paying dues, and I've talked to this with other bands and stuff. It's knowing your worth is a really important thing. So if you know that one gig is this amount or it's free, and it's like, well, is that worth it to you? Because I know I've driven to Aberdeen on the promise of like a pint, but I got to work with this promoter, I got to play with this act, and then that down the line, because I did this gig in Aberdeen for the Blue Lamp promotion, which is a really great guy, to Martin. And then I did that gig and I made a few contacts up there, and then Jason Eady came over to the UK and he was playing in London. I messaged their promoter, and they'd heard of me because I'd done that Aberdeen show, just because I was a fan of Cecil Alan Moore, who was playing. And I was like, I'm a fan of Jason Eady. I'd like to do that gig if you need an act. And they went, yeah, but we've only got, I think it was like £80. And I was like, it's more than I fucking, like, from what I drove up to Aberdeen for. So I'll definitely head down to London to play that. And then it's just knowing that those gigs for me have always been worth it. And yeah, you'll take a bit of a hit or something, but for me, it's like, I got to see Jason Eady one as a fan, I got to make this network of promoters and friends down south and just strengthen these bonds. And then I'm meant to be playing there again this year. And it's knowing your worth. So if you know that a gig's not going to be that good, probably just don't play it then. That's what I'm at the point now
absolutely.
where I'd rather not do a gig and pass on that and then do a good opportunity. And especially going forward this year, I know I'm probably not going to charge anything or take any like money from a gig for the rest of the year. And I've made peace with that. I'm happy with that because I know that the venues that are still left standing at the end of this are going to need our support more than anything.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. But I also think that there will be a return of a really loyal, enthusiastic, appreciative audience.
Yeah, definitely.
I truly believe that, and as soon as this crazy is over, I'll be like, yeah, we're putting something on. I don't know what it will be. We're literally from one night to the next. We'll put something on.
Yeah.
And just say to people, do you know what? Just come down. We're going to put something on for you. We know you're gagging for live music. Just come down, and we probably will do a chuck in the hat. But I will literally be in people's faces and say, but if you also have a look at how generous people are being with online tip jars. I know artists who are working that really well. And they're not expecting a lot. You just say to people, if you can do great, even if just the price of a coffee.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Just
I did a digital tour last week, so I'm pretty done with all my live streams for the foreseeable because I did like 6 pretty much in a row, and it was fun, but I'm not doing it for a while. But that was every donation was going to that venue I was meant to be playing. And it's just, I was just saying, like, look, awesome. if you kick in the pint of a pint or the price of a pint, what you'd pay for a beer there, most of the gigs were going to be donation gigs anyway. So if you kicked in what you would have kicked in for that, I'm still doing a half-hour set. It's going to the venue that you'd like to go to anyway. I'll be back at some point. It's just kind of, I'm hoping optimistically because I know not a lot of audiences, but some audiences are quite reserved. And they save all their money for the Live Nation and Ticketmaster shows that hoover up the majority of gig going income.
They do, but then that's not I'm going to say that's not for me, or for us as a promoter. That's not where I'm looking to pitch.
But I'm optimistically, I'm hoping that with that kind of not dying a death, but it's been taken onto the back foot.
They will shift.
It's going to shift and people are going to be more grateful and receptive and aware of the smaller venues because the smaller venues, smaller artists have had the bigger online presence at the moment.
They've got the bigger online presence, but also if you think about it now, everybody is watching music in a tiny venue because basically, and it's really personal because this is it. This is the dynamic for everybody that's watching. And I think that if artists can, artists, promoters, and venues, if they can kind of capitalize on that, and it really is capitalizing. I know a couple of people who have gone into lockdown and just basically kind of gone, this is now how I'm going to make my living, because I now realize that I can quite successfully now, whether that be teaching or just reaching different audiences and doing different things. They kind of realize, oh, actually I can do this from here. And doing collaborations. I think there's going to be some really good collaborations come out of this. I think people will get over live streams at some point. At the moment, I can't keep up with who's playing what, where, and when. I really like that idea of you doing the tip jar to the venue. That's awesome. That's really generous.
Well,
and that's kind of that little outside where everyone can't think of themselves. If everyone thinks of themselves, it's just going to crash. We're going to have nothing when we come back.
Well, it's the same thing as what we've been talking about. It's I always try and think long game for everything.
Yeah.
So I know it would be nice for me to make 10, 20 quid in a tip jar now, but I know that I want to be out there touring again in the future. And if the venues that I love playing at aren't there, then I'm not going to be
There's
getting,
nowhere, is there?
yeah. So I know that I'm not going to be getting down the line to be able to sell merch and play to a crowd that gives a shit. So for
No,
me,
and I
it
think
just,
that's another thing is your merch. You know, make
mm,
sure. Sorry, but that's as an independent artist, that's where you're making your money.
yep,
That's where your money has to go. That's where your investment has to go.
mm,
You know, get merch, get it out there, make it really fucking easy for people to buy.
yeah,
You know, there are you know, I'm not really down with the kids, the techno department, but make sure it's there, that it's on your Facebook page, that you have a buy it now button, and
yeah,
it goes to somewhere, and PayPal goes, there you go, here's a button, pay for
yeah,
it, thank you very much, I'll have your money, there's your address, off you go to the
yeah.
post office. Don't make it difficult for people
No,
to find.
I have a rule for social media, and I try and tell it to like my artist friends and stuff. If someone goes to your Facebook page and can't either get to your music or store in 3 clicks, you've wasted your time. So I
Yeah,
always
agreed.
go onto my Facebook homepage and I click it so it's view as a user or view as a visitor. And then
Hmm.
I go through and make sure that everything is at least 3 clicks away. Because I know in this day and age, people don't have the time to be clicking through things and waiting for load screens for 20
No,
minutes. It needs to be
no.
so instantaneous and accessible.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agreed. A friend of mine, John, has put. I think I'll find out his website and I'll get it over to you. I think it's called Musicians Online or
Mm,
something like that, and he's literally put together little tutorials to the. This is your Facebook page. This is
yeah,
what needs to be on it. This is your website. This is what needs to be on it. You know, understand um, how Google searches for things,
yeah,
and then what's the first, you know, the first line that comes up, and what do you want people to do when they get there? Do you want them to listen to you? Do you want them just to like your page? It doesn't matter what it is that you want them to do. That
you just
call
need
to
to know
action,
what it is.
yeah, know what it is and make it really fucking easy,
Yeah,
like really easy. Don't let people have to, like you say, look around for stuff. Make ticket, but for us, the Hen House, when you go on the website, I want to sell tickets. That is what the website's for. That is exactly what we want to do. Go on there, and it is literally, here you go, buy a ticket. Oh, read a little bit about us, buy your tickets here. Here we go.
yeah,
Oh, here's the tickets. You know,
yeah,
that's because that's, you know, that's what we want people to do. Facebook is about a little bit. Yes, it is about ticket sales, but it's a little bit more about engagement, building a wider audience, building a trusting audience, and catering to that audience
yeah,
rather than trying to cater outside it.
yeah,
Uh, and then Instagram probably, you know, the same a little bit. I think Instagram makes more art promoter to artist connections,
yeah,
and I think it's easier to engage across different areas via Instagram. I
yeah,
think
definitely.
Instagram's really good for casting your net and um, doing stuff. And one thing that we do try to do is every day on Instagram, I go on and I try to make 10 comments, a minimum of 10 comments.
Yeah, well, that's the I think it's called the $1.80 principle.
Yeah.
And I try and do it, but I'm trying to find that balance of not feeling like a fraud when I comment on things. I just have that kind of thing in the back of my head where, because you meant to, your top 10 hashtags or top 9 hashtags, you look on that and then see what the top posts are, and then you comment on those, and it's putting your 2 cents in. You do that
Mm.
10 times, that's £1 or 18 cents or whatever it is, and then you do it another 10 times for the other like hashtags, and then it's the $1.80 principle. And I've been trying to do that. I need to expand my Instagram a bit more, but it's a tricky one. But then people don't even post on it, and people don't try and do things, and that's something I've been trying to talk to like Josh, and I was talking to
Mm.
Jody from Fargo about it. Is
Yeah.
like, we already know as a musician record sales are in the toilet. This is
Oh yeah,
shown.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's not where you're going to be getting like your income or
No.
exposure from.
No.
Live shows are now dead for the foreseeable future. So that's where
Yep.
your exposure income's gone. So what are you going to do now to adjust and adapt to this? Which is why I've started this podcast, was I was doing it
Brilliant.
beforehand anyway, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted
I know
another.
we were gonna chat
Yeah.
beforehand as well. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, yep.
Yeah, because I wanted something that was still creating content that was still like Mike West and still with this. And I put like a track of mine before on the intro.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an engaging thing. And it's also because, again, as I'm a fan of podcasts and I'm a fan of people like yourself, it's given me a chance to talk to them. and it's just another thing that I can do that I could potentially monetize in the future. And
Absolutely, and monetize it in a way that it is not just that financial gain, but that it's that interaction, it's
it's
that
that
connection.
engagement.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, and I think that is
And
it's
like,
super valuable. You know,
and I think
listen to two of your cast, and they're brilliant. Straight away, I'm like, yeah, boom, I'm in. I think because I know you, and I was like, yes, this is Mike, and then I was like, right, okay, so if I didn't know Mike, would I be engaged? And straight away I was like, yes, without a doubt. So they were good. And I also like the idea, or the fact that you are talking to people that interest you, rather than it just being about me. I kind of listened to 2 podcasts. I thought, oh, and I'm actually going to be stealing some ideas because I think it's brilliant. A podcast is something that we've wanted to do at the Hen House for a while. I've looked at all of like the live streaming, blah, blah, blah. You know, no one wants to sit and watch me and Dawn singing. Trust me, no one does. It's like, so what else can we do?
Yeah.
What else can we do? A, for the Hen House, but B, also to support the artists that we love, that we like, you know. So yeah, we're going to be doing something very similar.
Because I was talking to Josh, has just started his vlogs, and I've kind of taken this from, like, I'm a huge stand-up comedy fan, and the LA comic scene, you know, they tour and they've got their shows and they do their spots at certain clubs and things, but they also, pretty much every single one of them has a podcast, and they all network and they all get on each other's things, and it's all, they just like lift each other up. And musicians kind of view, if they aren't doing music, then they're selling themselves in a way that they don't want to. And it's like, but if you're still, for me, I was explaining this to Josh, if you're getting on stage and telling a story, why don't you just tell that story outside of that as well? You've still got those experiences and those interests. And if people are buying into you there, they'll buy into you here. And that's where I think, because if Jody and Andy from Fargo started a podcast, I listen to that straight away.
Oh, it'd be stupendous, and absolutely adore them.
And that's, I think, a lot of musicians, for me, I think if you need to start something that's either a podcast or getting your personality out there, that's not just outside of the music, but then promoting it. Because my view was, if I've got if
you've got the personality of a brick, though.
I think if you're a musician, you can't have the personality of a brick, hopefully.
Agreed.
So, and then again, it might be interesting.
That would be a real bummer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be interesting if some dude was like, I did a gig once. It was all right. This happened. But I'd still...
What, somebody would listen, though, wouldn't they?
Someone would still listen. And it's, if you look at music as the main pillar supporting yourself, what can you add around that can then just take the ease off that if a pandemic hits and you can't do that anymore? So this was meant to be in the van, and I was meant to be traveling around and doing this face to face. So I've had to adapt to this because I still want to bring out content every 2 weeks. And it's good as well because I can't tour, because I'm focusing on pushing the next life. I don't have any new music to release yet. So this is still an engaging thing that I can give to people who are interested in me and keep pushing it, as well as promote people like yourself. Obviously, Sean James doesn't need any promotion because he's got like 100,000 followers on Facebook and stuff, and he's been fucking killing it. But and Crapsons, and it's people I'm a fan of, that we can all just like work together and support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, it's that wider network, and people do. It is literally reaching out. It's getting by with a little help from your friends.
Yeah.
As cliched as that sounds, I think you will find that the people who are out there and who will network and build that, and they do. People, the world has changed. Social media has changed the world. Whether you like it or not, it has changed it. And it's changed the way we communicate. It's changed the way we interact. It's changed what we want to know about people. But I think what it's also done is, instead of waiting for somebody to tell us about somebody or something, we can hear it directly from source.
Yeah.
And that's super, super powerful. So instead of, there being a rumor about, I don't know, somebody famous, that they're there, you can talk to them. And that builds a loyalty. We're tribal. As humans, we are tribal, and we like to belong. Right at this moment in time, Everybody is sat in their own homes. Yes, they have their small, some people are sat at home on their own, so they literally have nothing. So they will look for their tribe outside of that, and they will
Yeah.
build that connection outside of that, and they will be loyal to it. And I think, and it is really important, I think, right this moment in time, it is very, very important that we do have this social media, to use for businesses, if you like, but also kind of to keep humanity going, for want of getting really deep. But that is the connection again that people make with music that are moved. And I think there's, like I say, there's a lot of collaborations, there's a lot of talking going backwards and forwards, where people are going, oh right, well here's a live stream, oh well the sound was a little bit shit, and then somebody will message them over and say, how about if you do it this way, have you thought of doing it that way? People who are live streaming and kind of refining how they're doing that, and not keeping that to themselves, but telling other artists how to do it.
Yeah, I think,
because as an artist, you want to sound good.
Yeah. And like, that's part of the reason I did this podcast. And I've set up on Facebook, I've got a private group that only has musicians in, and like no promoters, no fans, only musicians. And that is purely, it shares resources, it shares experiences. And if someone's like, how do you get set up on PRS? It's like, well, you do this. It's like, if you put your gigs in, and it's a lot of things where it's like people play pretty close to their chests sometimes in this game, and I always think that it shouldn't be. So I'll message someone and be like, do you want me to just I've rewritten a few Facebook pages for people just because I know that their potential is better than what they've written, which isn't a dig at them, but people can't sometimes promote outside of themselves. So I'll go through it and I'll just take half their things and I'll be like, well, I've written this for you if you'd like to put that up. And you should always try and share information and better people, because I'm a fan of who I'm talking to. Why wouldn't I want to see them do as well as they can?
Yeah, absolutely.
And them getting a gig.
Look into people who are doing. You're kind of going, oh, what are they doing?
Yeah.
What, and seeing what they're doing and taking that on board, because that knowledge builds everybody up together.
Yeah, exactly.
And it expands everybody's audience.
Yeah, and if I help them and they get a gig, that doesn't mean that was meant to be my gig. And if they get a fan, that was meant to be my fan. I'm like, oh my God, they've just got that really good gig. I'm so happy for them. And then you just get to talk to them about it. As long as you approach things as a fan first, I think you're going to do all right. And I think a lot of people kind of lose sight of that for their own personal gain.
Yeah, I think so, and I think they probably think that they have to do things in certain ways. And I can by no means talk of any experience here, more than sort of like life experience. I'm not a touring artist, and I'm not I'm trying to hustle my music in front of people. I'm not having to do all of that. I absolutely get that isn't that's not sort of like the shoes that I'm wearing. But it doesn't mean that you can't understand and appreciate what people are trying to do, and it doesn't matter what it is. As my day job, I'm a coach. It's what I do. I teach people to do things, and I kind of teach people that to start off with, it's all right to be shit. It's all right to not get things right, and that's absolutely fine. You just keep going at it, find the bits that you're going wrong, find out the bits that you need to be better at, look and see what other people are doing, but don't get analysis paralysis, just keep chugging away, and you are going, it's in the gym, it's putting the reps in. To get it right, you have to put the reps in, and a lot of so I think for an artist, for a musician, putting your reps in, you're going away, you're practicing, you're refining your skills, you're refining your stage skills, so that when you turn up somewhere, you turn up on time, you're professional, you're nice. That doesn't mean to say that you're a pushover, but you are polite to everybody that's involved, from whoever it is behind the bar. It's nice to be nice. It really is that simple. Just don't be a dickhead, really. But to just keep doing that, because every time you do something, you're adding to your page.
100%.
You're adding a page. You're adding a page to your book until you're building up. So I think there's I don't, like I don't know, your Britain's Got Talent and you're all this, where people are super rushed to kind of like stardom and it's overnight, and that doesn't happen 99.9% of the time. And 99.9% of the time, people aren't going to make it. Doesn't matter how fucking talented they are. It's just not going to happen. And that shit, that's really sad. But they're not going to have that big exposure. But what they can have is a really loyal fan base.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I always view that, and I
will
think
appreciate them.
And a lot of people kind of give up 1 or 2 years in. And, I was talking to Sean James about this. It's like you have to commit at least 8 to 10 years to even start getting a moderate following. And I've always been of the viewpoint where I'd rather have a consistently small venue or small following that gives a shit than have like an X Factor moment and then be gone in a week. Because the small following that you build and you tour, it's so much fun going around Europe and like the UK in a van and just playing these weird little gigs and meeting a few people. It's so much fun, and it's such a good time, and it's such a unique experience, and it gives you a better understanding of the world and people. I always just enjoy, like, I'll book a gig just because I've never been to a town, just because I enjoy trying to find a new.
I can see why you do. I mean, I'd love to I almost do like a work experience. I'm not sure you can do that at 50, but do kind of like a tour manager. I'd love to do that. That would just be, someone go out. The only thing I can't drive. Someone would have to drive, but everything else, like organizing, because it's what I love doing. That's what I love doing, kind of like on the fly, making sure that everything's right. And another thing we think that kind of that we have at the Hen House is it's just attention to detail. And I've taken that from other events that I run. I've run British Championships for powerlifting. We run a massive event at a tattoo convention. It's huge, but we started really small, and we're kind of like, okay, let's test drive this and see what happens. And we made our little mistakes along the way, and we built it to this year. The event, we have like 140, 130 entrants.
Oh, really?
And we actually crashed the server in 3 minutes. We went live with the sales. People have to pay to enter. We went live with the entry, and it crashed the server in 3 minutes because so many people were trying to enter. The server just went, can't deal with that. Thanks very much. And we sold out. I think we sold out in 5 hours.
That's so good.
So, but it's taken us 7 years.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Taken us 7 years.
Yeah.
And it's the first one people go, so, there's been a couple of times where we've had gigs and, there haven't been, I think it might have been, what one was it after? It was after one of the gigs. And we hadn't sold, and we're learning. I think we're kind of having to learn that people need to have a name for us to be able to buy, at the moment, be able to sell tickets.
Yeah.
That's kind of imperative right now. Once we've built that trusting audience that Ken has down in Portsmouth, where they go, I don't know who that is, but Square Roots have put them on. Boom, we're in there. There's so much more that we can kind of do that way, that we kind of have to build on that. But there's been times where, and it has been a venue, and they've turned around and gone, oh, almost like that wasn't great. And we've gone, it was a brilliant night. That was an amazing night. Or we've gone in and kind of gone, okay, have you got that and that date free? And they're like, well, you just don't give up, do you? And I'm like, but why would I give up now?
Yeah, exactly.
I've just started. You can't expect to be a success right off the bat. You have to, for every single audience member, we're going to work for them. We're going to work to get them, and then we're going to work to retain them.
Yeah.
And that literally, if we have to do it one person at a time, and that's kind of how I view our Instagram. I view our Instagram, and I check it, and I see how many page visits we have and how many engagements we've had, and where people have followed us, and we have built it up. And I remember this time, was it this time last year? It must have been this time last year, I think. Me and Paul went to Buckles and Boots, And I remember us having something like 56 followers on Instagram. You know, that was it. We was there, we were flying and we were chatting to people. And now we're up to, I don't know, it's probably just over 600, maybe about 620, 650. But we've worked consistently to do that, to make sure, and to have a look at the page and look how the page looks. For me, the Instagrams, it's very visual. And I want it to look good. I'm always quite vain about that. But it is about just building up each individual one. We also have loyalty card scheme.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I love that for what you guys do.
So just literally, like your Costa coffee, you know, stamp it. When you get, I think it's 10 stamps, and you get 50% off your next tickets, your next ticket buy. We do that. We do thank you cards. We do handwritten thank you cards when people come in. We know who people are. You know, it is. We have to be personal. Now you're not just selling a gig. It doesn't matter what you're doing. So I've got friends who are tattoo artists. I've got friends who have cafes or run things. You are not selling a coffee. You're selling an experience from the moment that person walks through the door to when they leave and they go, fucking hell, that was a great night. That was a great day. That was a great tattoo experience, you know, from walking through the door. And that is what I think where people have to, it's not thinking outside the box. It's not even outside the box. You have to sell that experience because
definitely.
That's what people are now paying for. They're paying for a whole experience. Right. You know, there are variables that you may not be able to control, but those ones that you can, if you make them special, then they're kind of going to go, oh, actually. And there'll be people who go and they'll go, well, we thought the lighting was shit. Well, soz.
It's a weird one because music has such a personal connection. A lot of people think that the music does the talking for a lot of it, and that's not the way. It's always you need to. I've always, if I let my guard down a bit, talk a bit more personal on stage, and let people in a bit more, those are the gigs that always get the better returns. Always the ones where I get better interactions. I get to chat to people at the end. And it's always you just pushing yourself as a whole. It's never just the music, because the music may be good or the event may be good or like what you're trying to push may be of the best quality. But if you aren't pushing a personality and a reason to buy into that alongside it, then you're always going to fall short.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, the gigs that you go sometimes, and you know, sometimes I've been to gigs where I've gone and thought, wow, you know, it's not even just gigs, just nights where I've gone, you're really talented, there's this and that, and then I just think, but you're boring me. I'm sorry, but you're boring me. I've not bought into you. You're super talented, and I know that I should kind of be fawning over you. But I'm like, nah, bored. I'm out. I'm sorry, and that, you know, and that is going to be very, very individual. From person to person, because at the end you are that when you're there, I'm sorry, but I paid some time. I want you to entertain me. That's, you know, I agree, you know, your aspect, that is part and part of your remit. That is it. If you're there and you look bored, or you almost like people don't look like they don't want to be there. I mean, there's been very, very few gigs that I've walked out of, and I've only ever walked out of two. One was the Be Good Tanias. That was, God, that must have been 15 years ago now. Had been listening to them constantly. It had literally been like a background theme tune that had been going on. Absolutely dying to see them. Went to see them, and they were there, and they just didn't look like they wanted to be there at all. And I looked at Paul, and I was kind of like, I've got to go. I couldn't bear to live. That was it. I just walked out. But everyone was like, I can't believe you did. I just found them. I didn't feel like they were interacting with each other, or so skill-wise, musically, yes. Sorry, my dog's trying to get in the room now. Skill-wise, you know, everything was there, but I was like, but that's it. I'm done.
Yeah, if there's
I'm out.
Yeah, if there's no connection to, I think I've only ever walked out of 2 gigs. I walked out of Stained years ago because I just, like, it was a boring show. And then one was like really unprofessional, so I just walked out of it because I was like, if you guys don't give a fuck, why should I? Like,
Yeah.
the fiddle player was late and showed up 3 songs into the set. And then the bassist I stayed for like half of the set, and halfway through the bassist went for a piss. So he got off stage, unplugged, and went to the toilet, and then came back. And like, and this is meant to be an established act as well. This is I'll tell you off camera who it was.
Yeah.
But because I was stunned because I'd been playing for a few years, and even I knew not to like walk off stage to go to the toilet to be like, hang fire, guys.
Yeah.
But
no, there is. I think the other one that I went was. I think, to be fair, I think it was just because my back was really sore and I couldn't. I think it was a Deaf Institute. It was really. I think it might have been Coulter Wall, and that had nothing to do with him. It just had to do with the fact that we were right at the back. I had a really sore back, and I was just like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, but I can't stand here anymore. We're going to have to go." I think I might have been hungry as well. To be fair, so,
just a perfect storm of not wanting to be there.
Just kind of pop off from there. But Deaf Institute is good. There's been some.
Yeah, I love that venue.
Some really good gigs. Yeah. So did we see? I think we saw Willie Watson there last year. Devil Makes 3. I think were they the only 2 that we went. I think Coulter Wall was the year before. I think they might have been the only 2 that we went to. There, that was good, nice little venue. I do like it. It a lot.
No, it is great. But I've let you talk for quite a while now, and thank you so much for listening. Do you want to wrap this up, and I'll let you get on with the rest of your day?
Yeah, absolutely. No, thanks, and we will reciprocate this, and I'll be asking you a ton of questions. So,
amazing. Well, this was
thanks. Keep on doing what you're doing, and I'll like I say, I will be stealing some of your shit.
Yeah. So this was a boss chat, and it's good to know like when people are passionate about things that it comes through. And I know you guys are going to weather this storm and come out for the better of. And I can't wait to see what gigs you play.
Yeah, I hope so. I miss Dawn like crazy. My partner in crime. She's my Dawn's. I literally, she always laughs at me because I just can't. She says, all you have to do is say, "Shall we?" I go, "Dawn, shall we?" And she's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
I really wanted
to do this as a podcast with the both of you. So I'm definitely gonna have to have you on down the line to get you on so everyone can see the double act.
Yeah, we are literally like Laurel and Hardy. I just love it. And you know, she's like, I don't do it. All I do is write tickets. Like, no, everybody, I could just, you know, the whole dynamic wouldn't be the same without her. She's amazing, and I miss her like mad. So Dawn, you're a Belm. And next time we'll have you on and we'll let you talk some rubbish.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
she's also a stupendous musician, by the way.
She is really good.
Yeah. Yes.
But so I'm looking forward to having you guys on down the line. But thank you so much.
Awesome. No, carry on doing what you're doing. It's ace.
Oh, thank you so much. Take care.
All right. Speak to you soon.
So there we have it, folks. That is episode 5 of Into the Van. I'm super happy with how these talks and this podcast has developed even in its infancy. This, I think, is a podcast that if I was just a fan of, or if I wanted to get some more information about the music industry or a creative pursuit, I'd really hope that this is a podcast people would use and lean towards. Speaking to music promoters, is especially with Tanya and people like John Craig from the previous episode, they're completely invaluable because musicians have a musician's perspective. And even though they have played in the past and they've been in bands, they have this desire and this urge to be promoters in their own right and pay attention to the details and market themselves and the bands properly. It's not half-assed in any way, shape, or form. And I think if you're going to take anything away from these talks and these creative pursuits, is to never half-ass what you love. Like, as Ron Swanson always says, never half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 things. But he says it in American, so it's ass. But you know what I mean. Do what you love and love what you do, and make sure you actually give a shit about it. Because if you aren't having fun, you aren't making memories that you're happy with and you're content with, and you can look back and go, I did well, then you need to look for something else. I want you to have this drive and this passion that I have for my music, that Tanya has for hers and for her promotion, what for John has for his comics, for Sean has for his music, for all these amazing people that I'm talking to. They have this fire and this passion that will echo through your headphones and hopefully inspire you to do something, because I want people, the more things people can create and be creative and care about, I think the world will be a better place for it. So we're still in the midst of a pandemic. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. I hope all your loved ones are. I'm thinking of you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and take care. Peace.